Alright everyone, now that we have been covering some basics of harmony, it is time to start looking at how to spice up your chords a little bit. So let's listen to the following example. And then this one. The first one is just a completely normal chord progression like the ones we looked at in the previous video, while the second one is the same chord progression just after applying some of the steps we're going to have a look at now. So let's just have a look at what I did here. Now, let's look at what you can do. There are many ways to change and tweak your chords, but I'm going to go through some of the most common ones here. First of all, you have seventh chords. Now, a seventh chord is a chord with an additional third added above the fifth in your chord, which is landing on the seventh step. So, for example, if you have a C major chord, above this one you have another third, which gives you the seventh step of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, this is a major seventh chord, a C major seventh. Now, depending if there is a major 7 or minor 7 interval, like we looked at in the interval video, you call it a major 7th chord or just a minor 7th chord. The most common use of the 7th chord is what's called a dominant 7th chord, which has a lot of tension and wants to lead back to the tonic. One example here. So that's a very common way of using it. That said, there are many ways you can use 7th chords in your tracks to spice up your harmony a bit. So let's have a look at some examples. Now, when you're going to use 7th chords, you need to make sure that the note you're adding lines up with the scale you're using. So let's say we are working in C major scale and we want an F. Let me see if we can open this here. Now, you know, in C major it's only white keys. So when you have F, which you can see right here, when you want the 7th step from F up here, it lands on this one, the E. So you're gonna have a major 7th interval. If I go to this one, the E flat, which is a minor 7th, it's not really sounding too good in C major because it's outside of the scale. Let's listen. It's kind of crashing a bit, but if we use the major 7th, for example, it sounds a bit better. Now, you can use this in almost any chord you like. For example, if I take a string patch here, I like to use the 7th step on, for example, the 4th step of the scale, the 6th, and the 2nd. So in C major, it would be on the D minor, for example, like this. Instead of... makes it a little bit more rich and interesting. Let's see if we can get up the keys here. And then also I like to use the ones on the 4th step, which is F major in this case. And then on the A minor, the 6th step. So if I'm playing around with this, it sounds like this. So that's some ways you can use the seventh chords in your tracks, and it gives it a bit more of a unique and interesting character. The next one is the ninth chords, or the ninth note in the scale. So just as with the seventh chord, a ninth chord implies that there is a note on the ninth step of the scale. And as you know, we only have 8 steps basically to get to the next octave, so it's really referring to the second step. That's number 9. So a C major add 9, for example, would sound like this. And you can use the ninth together with the seventh for a more dissonant and tense effect. Let's do that with a C here. Or you can use it alone, and when used alone, I feel it gives the chord a more mellow and full character, and it's something I love using in my tracks, especially for strings. Let's look at a little example here. Let's take one of these chord progressions, or let's take a random chord. Let's say C. And then I add the ninth chord. And take it away. And let's add it back. To me, it gives the chords just a whole different character that's a lot more full and rich. And this you can use basically everywhere as well. On the 4th step, 6th, and it's something that I love using in my tracks, so that's something I definitely recommend that you have a look at. Now let's look at another example. You have the suspended chords, and these are chords where the third is not included but rather moved to the 2nd or the 4th step. The most common are sus4 and sus2, where the third is suspended on either the 2nd or 4th step, then resolving back down to the 3rd. Let me show you what I mean. Here, you have a C major triad. Now, if I want to take away the 3rd, and I add the 4th, this is a sus4 chord. And if I add the 2 instead, it's a sus2 chord. Now, what's usually happening in these chords is that they are resolving down to the 3rd, so it gives a nice little pleasant effect, and what you can also do is to just never resolve them, which gives them a little bit, it gives them a unique character that has a bit of tension, but to me it's a kind of pleasant effect. Let's listen to some chords in this way. And it's especially pleasant when you actually resolve back to the 3rd. So these are also some chords that you can try applying in your themes as well, and you can get some really interesting results. Now we'll be looking at some options we have for tweaking our chord progressions, so let's look at how to apply them. And let's take one of the chord progressions from the last video and just kind of spice up the chord progression a little bit. So I think we have them right here. And we can start by taking a look at the first progression, which sounds like this. All right, let's zoom in here. Now, for A minor's chords, I like to sometimes add the 9th step or 2nd step. It gives a nice little tense effect, so let's add that in here. Now I'm also going to do the same here, I think. I'm going to move the F up to the 2nd step. Maybe have it resolve halfway. Oh, I think we have some, let me see, sustain going on here. Yeah, let's get rid of that. And make sure these ones are going all the way. So here, for example, I can add a 7th step. See what that sounds like. Something like that. Let's make a sus4 thing going on here. Like that, and make it resolve back there. All right, let's see what else we can do. Just gonna take it down an octave here. Actually, I'm not too much of a fan of the 7th right there, so let's add this 2nd one again. Just gonna make it seamlessly transition into the next note, and let's see, here we go. And there you go. You have a little bit more interesting chord progression going on, so feel free to experiment with. Feel free to experiment with these different chord progressions and ways to expand upon the chords to make them more interesting. So I hope this has been helpful to a certain degree, and I wish you good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next video.